what it was in 1914 compared to what it was in the 1830s. They were literally being decimated. And you think you're going to arrive at some peaceful relationship with these dogs. You got another thought coming. But because you don't read history, you can fall into that kind of victimization. If we would just love one another, what are you talking about? We would just respect you. Come on. Read the history of these people and understand who you're dealing with. These people are not open to appeals about love and not seeing color. They are looking at that dollar. And that's the only thing that counts. And if it means that your life has got to be forfeited for them to get it, they're going to do it without thinking twice about it. They shipped these people after they were starving them to death. They wouldn't let them vote. They wouldn't let them be elected. They wouldn't let them practice law. They wouldn't let their children be educated. They couldn't even own property for a good while. They shipped them over here in ships, cargo ships. And they only had a space of 3 feet by 6. Yeah, you think we were the only one packed into these holes? They packed them into these holes and stinking filth. And there was only 3 inches between 3 feet between ships. They couldn't even hardly sit up straight. The women had to go and cross the sea literally sitting up all night and sitting up all night, because if they fell asleep in the wrong position, they were had. They had to sit there and fight off the rapists and so forth as they came over. This was what it was about. They had to live in attics. Some attics were not even 3 feet tall. They still had to pay rent for them. Live in depth cellars. Live in alleys and build houses in alleys. The garbage was more than knee high and ankle deep. The sewage was open trenches and flowing into the street. When we got to New York, things were a hell of a lot better than they were for the Irish, I'm telling you. Yeah. And why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this, and again, just because there's some very interesting parallels here. People who've been degraded, who were enslaved and degraded. Okay? And yet we look at where they are today. You see? Yes. And look at the power they exercise today. And the whole bit. It says that because you come in degraded situations and circumstances, the Irish man was a poor, dirty laborer and did all the dirty work of the society. And for a period of time, even the average living quality of life for black people was better than that for Irish people. In fact, the white boys would give the Irish men work to do that they wouldn't even give the black slave, because they had an investment in the slave. Yes. They would have advertisements, Irish need not apply. Oh yes, Irish had the highest rates of insanity, the highest rates of alcoholism. Yes, yes, you heard of the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame? You think that's a play name? They were fighting people, man. They fought each other like cats and dogs. They chopped each other up and knifed each other and shot each other in ways you wouldn't believe that even our black youngsters have got to yet. These people used to have gang warfare that would last for a whole week. 7 and 8 days, I'm telling you. They had a riot that went on for 3 or 4 weeks. When they got to fight, they were firing cannons. I'm telling you. Yes. Why don't we hear this history? Because people want to believe that black folks, are the only people who behave in this way, and this is intrinsically related to blackness. And we got black spokesmen who want to throw this stuff back in these white boys' faces when they start trying to explain this. Why is this going on? And they run the story about 129th Street in Harlem, 3 series about black people as if this is representing some new phenomena in America. And this is representing something. These people, the Fighting Irish, they fought each other. You heard the word Donnybrook? Yeah, that's why. These people, they just get out there and just battle and fight, just knock each other up for no reason whatsoever. They used to wear handkerchiefs and colors in their pocket, black boys. You think you're doing something new? Colors? That's nothing new. They wore colors. They wore their hats backwards and to the side. You think you're just imitators out here. And not good ones at that. Because you know what they used to do? Attack cops on sight.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Cops wouldn't go in some of that neighborhood. They would have to go 4 and 5 at a time. Now that would come out alive. Okay? Are you kidding? You hadn't seen anything yet. Okay? Yes. Well over half the people arrested and put in jail were Irish. Where did the word paddy wagon come from? Right. Whites, Irish called what? Paddies, and the police wagon was made for all of the men. Paddy wagons. We can go on and on here. But the orphans, all of these, they were known as thriftless people. People who didn't know how to spend their money. And they were not ashamed to beg. Known for getting on welfare. Yes, 60% of the people in the poorhouse, Irish white folk. As they moved into Boston and other cities, the welfare rolls and the charity rolls more than doubled. Didn't hear of bathtubs. Didn't know what bathtubs were. You know? So what are we saying here then? But they got out of it. And there were other groups who had similar conditions. But I talked about them because they resemble a lot of ours. Yes. How did they get out of it? They got out of it by finding some kind of political and economic niche. By learning to control some lever of power. They took control, political control of the cities. They took political control of the civil service. They didn't come in here, we're going to hire all people fairly. We, you know, and be the height of the Dinkins Fairness Brigade. They came in there knowing who they were going to hire. They were going to hire their own people. And they were going to get their own people in there. And they brought them in there until they got them out of poverty. And they brought them in there until they gained respect. And they gained respectability. And then the white would say, okay, we think you're white enough to come on in. We'll make you one of us. You see, when these Spanish people get control of these cities, you are not going to be in part of it. You can believe that. I'm going to tell you that. You can talk people of color all you want to. Because these other people understand the name of the game. And that is to get in so they can bring their own in with them. Okay. They want to talk to Negroes and make Negroes saints. And we're supposed to be examples to mankind, the poorest and the weakest and lowest people. Got to be an example to mankind. We're going to hire everybody. In fact, we try to prove how fair we are by hiring the other ones first. You see? Yeah. And one of the things that the Irish were noted for, and one of the other reasons why they were fighting Irish, because they'd attack everybody that wasn't Irish too. That's right. Because they had immense solidarity as a people. Immense identification one with the other. And they had been fighting these British so long. And they had learned how to deal in subversion and so forth until they ultimately used the skills for their subversive activities against the British and the skills that they learned in organizing their resistance to the British. They transported it to political skills that they used here in America to advance their interests, and even represented areas that weren't even Irish. They still had control of the areas. And what's the point here that I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen? We're even in a better condition than they were as a people. We even now, as black people, have more to work with than they had at that point. Then what is missing? The major thing that's missing then is an African consciousness.
Yes, sir.
Is an African solidarity, is an African identity, and an African-centered purpose, and a commitment to the advancement of African people. The only thing is missing is our failure to see ourselves as a nation, and to organize ourselves as a nation. To become a nation in America, to gain control of our internal markets in America, to gain a good significant amount of ownership of the mainstream economic system We just don't want to own the moms and pop stores in the Bible.